Well, it's reflecting the optimism of the larger business community that the economy is going to improve. It will have these initial shocks. Thereafter, it will improve. And so they believe that these fundamental, long-standing policy changes have finally been done, and it's heralding a new dawn for a new Nigerian economy that can now express its potentials, because we are no more constrained by those two major microeconomic policies that have sort of tied our hands behind our backs. So that's basically what it is telling us.
Okay, so still talking about our economic outlook, a critical look at Tinubu's economic reforms, although multilateral lenders, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank, and also foreign investors, amongst others, have hailed the measures. But most Nigerians are currently facing unprecedented hardship caused by the high cost of living due to subsidy removal. And this begs the question, is this policy ill-timed, or the administration doesn't have the right strategy to put in place for implementation? What's your thoughts on this?
The policy is not, the policy is rightly timed, because there is no bad time to remove a bad policy like we had for over 30 years. Yes, the government has not been as fast as most of Nigerians expect them to be. A lot of Nigerians believe that the day after we remove subsidy, everything about palliative should start running. The CNG should start going. The grants to small SME businesses should start running. The removal of some major costs, so Nigerians, like school fees, should be reduced. So I think this essential concern, very correct concern of Nigerians now, is that the government, both at states, federal, state, and local government, should begin to roll out policies to reduce the hardship, which was predictable. It was obvious that anytime you remove subsidy, whether it was in 1920 or 1980 or year 2003, there were going to be economic shocks of various dimensions. If we had removed it completely in 2012, the shock would have been much less than what we are doing now. But that is history. The important thing now is for government to move much faster. We want to see many of the CNG buses running to bring down the costs of transportation. We want to see a lot of electric charging stations for electric vehicles to encourage people to use electric vehicles. We want to see the grants to small and medium enterprises whose working capital have come down drastically because of inflation, pumped into the small and medium enterprises, who are the major employers of Nigeria. So those are the things we want to be done much faster than what government is doing. But other than that, the policy couldn't have been at a better time. But we need to move faster, and it's not just the federal government. All the states, some states are already showing they can do something. They should do more. The states that have brought out buses, like Bayelsa, Borno, they should bring out more buses. States that are trying to bring out more buses, Lagos or State, they should get faster at that. Let the people see the new buses on the roads. Let them see that the transportation costs are now coming down as fast as possible. Like yesterday, most Nigerians will have wished that happened yesterday. But we are no more talking of whether right or wrong policy. The policy changes were right, but we want to see a massive increase in the speed by which the palliative measures are rolling out for Nigerians to fiscally benefit. To see that transportation costs have gone down because there are CNG buses on the road, because there are more BRT buses in Lagos. Those are the kind of things we want to see.
All right, I want to stay a little bit on the palliative measures announced by the federal government to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal on households and businesses. Now, my question to you now is, do you think that these measures have any way to ameliorate the sufferings that businesses and households are going through at this time for the short, the medium, and the long term?
Well, the policies cannot wipe out everything that the the hardships are not showing us. It will help to reduce it. But it is not the responsibility of the federal government to reduce the hardships to the very minimum. The state governments have a major role to play, the local government. So every hand of government must be on deck to reduce. You can't eliminate the sufferings. These are sufferings created by policies that have been here with us for over 30 years. We are suffering from 30 years of a policy that was unproductive and was counter to any effort to the economy. So you cannot resolve a 30-year problem in a month or two. We are looking at a time frame of 6 months, 9 months down the road for most of the immediate hardships to begin to ease off as we see all these policies coming out. But certainly that's the reasonable expectation of a time frame, but not 2 months.
Okay, let's stay a bit more on the latest rating. The rating agency projected that the elimination of petrol subsidy and the securitization of the ways and means advances will generate physical savings of around 2.5% of GDP in 2023. How realistic is this? Your thoughts?
Well, the fact is we are already seeing that. The savings from the fuel subsidy is already there. A significant number of investment decisions are happening. We have a new MOU signed between NNPC and NIPCO to roll out a lot of these CNG conversion facilities. These facilities are going to create a lot of jobs across the country. That's a new layer of increase to our GDP. The removal of the subsidies also means that a lot of businesses that were sort of caught up in the subsidy and were not viable will now be viable because we were essentially taking oil and moving petroleum products, moving it across the border, which was giving benefit to the other economy, and we were financing it. So the GDP growth that is projected will happen as all these new measures are released. Once the loans, the grants and loans start going to all the SMEs in Nigeria, we have 41 million SMEs as at last count. So even if it's just like 10%, 4 million or 20%, 8 million of SMEs that receive these grants and loans, it will boost the economy at that level. Almost every SME will retain their existing staff and hire more. That translates into higher GDP. So those projections are based on achievable, very, very achievable projections and realities and assumptions. Some are reality because we are beginning to see the CNG buses. Assumptions because we expect the rates at which the CNG buses will increase. Every CNG bus, every new bus that is assembled in Nigeria creates more jobs. And it's expected that we will not import fully built buses. For the large numbers we are expecting, that most of them will be ordered from existing vehicle assembly plants around Nigeria. We will then employ a lot more people to produce this very large number of new buses that all 36 states and the federal capital are planning to put on the roads. So those are the places where the increased GDP is coming. Okay. A lot of investment in transportation, a lot of investment in the logistics related to transportation, expansion of the assembly plants, complete greenfield, that's complete building of CNG conversion plants across the country, not just 1 or 2 CNG plants. We are talking of CNG conversion points, several of them in several units around the country initially. And like most things in Nigeria, it will catch up very fast. Once people see that it is profitable to set up a CNG conversion plant and the technology is being domesticated in Nigeria and there's financing to do it. So I don't have to have all the money required to build a CNG plant. I can get a loan from the Palliative the government is doing to set up a CNG plant. And there's a demand for it because a lot of people with vehicles now are interested in conversion. If it's affordable and there's a payment plan that enables them to pay within their available cash flows. So these are all the things that are generating a lot of new jobs. They've started, but we expect them to grow very quickly every month from now. And that's the junction that drives the new rating that we are seeing by the various rating agencies.